I walked up to my sister's wedding venue and saw my own face plastered on a poster at the entrance gate with words that made my blood boil. "Don't come close, you are so useless." My photo. Blown up. Displayed for every single guest to see. And my mother, standing right there in her expensive mother of the bride dress that I'd paid for, leaned in close and whispered with ice in her voice, "Please pretend you don't know me today." That was the moment something inside me snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just hissed under my breath, turned on my heel, and walked away. But here's what nobody expected: I had the power to end that entire wedding with one phone call. And 20 minutes later, that's exactly what I did. The venue locked down. The caterers packed up. The music stopped. My sister's perfect day shattered into 1,000 pieces because she forgot one crucial detail when she humiliated me. I was the one who'd paid for everything. I'm Vivian, and this is the story of how my family treated me like garbage until the moment I took back my power and left them scrambling in the wreckage of their own cruelty. Let me take you back 3 months before that wedding, because you need to understand the full context of how calculated their betrayal was. My sister Jessica and I grew up in what looked like a normal family from the outside. But inside those walls, there was always a clear hierarchy. Jessica was the baby, the princess, the one who could do no wrong. I was 7 years older, and from the time she was born, my role was defined: take care of Jessica, sacrifice for Jessica, make sure Jessica gets everything she wants. I accepted that role for most of my life. When my parents struggled financially, I was the one who stepped up. I put myself through college working 3 jobs, then got a good position at a tech company and started making real money. And the moment I had money, my family had their hands out. Jessica's private school tuition when my parents couldn't afford it? I paid. Jessica's college expenses when she decided state school wasn't good enough? I covered it. Jessica's car when she turned 21? Guess who bought it? For 15 years, I bankrolled my sister's life while my parents took credit for providing for her. I told myself it was okay because family helps family. I told myself that Jessica would appreciate it someday, that my parents would acknowledge my sacrifices. I was wrong on both counts. 3 months before the wedding, Jessica called me, crying hysterically. She'd gotten engaged to Marcus, a guy from a wealthy family, and they were planning this elaborate destination-style wedding at an exclusive venue. The problem? The venue required a $50,000 deposit, and Marcus's family had backed out of paying their share after some family drama on his side. "Vivian, I'm desperate," Jessica sobbed into the phone. "The wedding is going to fall apart. We'll lose everything we've planned. Mom and Dad can't help. You're the only one who can save this. Please. I'm begging you." I should have said no. God, I should have said no. But she was my little sister, and despite everything, I loved her. I thought maybe this would be the moment that changed things, that finally made them see my value. "How much do you need?" I asked, already knowing I'd regret it. $50,000 for the venue deposit. And maybe another 20 for other expenses that have come up. I know it's a lot, but Vivian, you make good money. You can afford it. And I promise, I'll pay you back. Marcus and I both will. $70,000. I had it in my savings, money I'd been putting aside for years, planning to eventually buy my own place. But I transferred it. All of it. Because she was my sister and it was her wedding and I was stupid enough to believe that family meant something. Jessica was ecstatic. She posted on social media about how her dream wedding was back on track, how blessed she was, how everything was falling into place. She didn't mention me. Not once. Not even a private thank you text after the money cleared. When I brought it up, she brushed it off. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. You know how people are about money. "I'll thank you properly after the wedding." Red flag. Huge red flag. But I ignored it. Then the wedding planning kicked into high gear, and I started noticing things. Jessica didn't invite me to the dress shopping. Didn't include me in the bridesmaid planning. Didn't ask my opinion on anything. When I asked about it, she said, "You're so busy with work, I didn't want to bother you with all the details." But she had time to post constant updates on social media. Photos with our mother trying on dresses. Videos of bridesmaid brunches I wasn't invited to. Stories about cake tastings and venue decorations and all the moments I'd funded but wasn't allowed to participate in. I tried to talk to my mother about it. "Mom, I feel like Jessica is freezing me out of this wedding. I paid for the venue, I've been supporting this family for years, and I'm being excluded from everything." My mother's response? "Vivian, don't be so sensitive. Jessica has a lot on her plate. This is her special day. Stop making it about you. Making it about me." I'd given $70,000 and countless years of financial support, and wanting basic inclusion was making it about me. 2 months before the wedding, I noticed something else. Jessica had started removing photos of me from her social media. Old pictures of us together, family photos that included me, all quietly deleted. When I asked her about it, she said her profile was getting too cluttered and she was curating her aesthetic for the wedding. 1 month before the wedding, I asked Jessica point blank if I was in the wedding party. She hesitated, then said, "We decided to keep the wedding party small. Just my college friends. You understand, right? Your family, you don't need a special title." But her college friends, the ones she'd known for 4 years, got to be bridesmaids. Her family, the sister who'd funded her entire life, didn't even get an acknowledgement. I should have pulled the funding right then. Should have demanded my money back and walked away. But I kept hoping that maybe I was overreacting, maybe things would get better, maybe on the actual wedding day I'd be treated with some respect. 2 weeks before the wedding, I got a text from Jessica. Not a call, a text. "Hey, about the wedding. We're having assigned seating and you're at table 12. It's toward the back but you'll still be able to see everything. Thanks for understanding. Table 12. I looked up the seating chart she'd posted in the family group chat. Table 12 was the furthest table from the bride and groom's table. It was where they'd seated distant relatives and plus ones of friends. I was being seated with people who barely knew our family, while Jessica's college roommate's boyfriend got a seat at table 3. I called her. "Jessica, I'm your sister. Why am I being seated in the back with strangers? Vivian, we have limited space near the front. The important people need to be close for photos and toasts. You'll be fine where you are." The important people? I paid for this wedding. And we're grateful, but that doesn't mean you get to dictate seating arrangements. This is my day, not yours. Stop being difficult. She hung up on me. My own sister hung up on me after I'd given her $70,000 and years of support. I sat in my apartment that night, staring at my bank account, seeing it depleted by almost everything I'd saved, and something shifted in me. I'd been a doormat for my entire life. Always giving, always sacrificing, always putting Jessica and my parents first. And what had it gotten me? Contempt. Exclusion. Being called difficult for wanting basic respect. I started looking into the venue contract. I'd signed it in my name because I was the one paying. The deposit was non-refundable, but there was a clause about cancellation. If the primary contract holder cancelled more than 2 weeks before the event, they'd lose the deposit but wouldn't be liable for the full amount. If they cancelled within 2 weeks, they'd owe the entire balance. The wedding was in 12 days. I had 2 days to make a decision. I agonized over it. Part of me still wanted to be the bigger person, to let Jessica have her day despite how terribly she'd treated me. But another part of me, the part that was tired of being used and disrespected, wanted to take back my power. I didn't make a final decision. I told myself I'd see how things went, that maybe Jessica would come to her senses and at least acknowledge my contribution before the wedding. Then came the wedding day. I'd bought a beautiful dress, done my hair and makeup, driven 2 hours to the venue. I was planning to attend, to be civil, to get through the day and then distance myself from this toxic family dynamic. I pulled up to the venue, parked, and walked toward the entrance. It was a gorgeous location, with gardens and an elegant entrance decorated with flowers and ribbons. Everything I'd paid for looking absolutely perfect. That's when I saw it. A large poster board on an easel right at the entrance gate. My face, a photo taken from my social media, blown up to poster size. And underneath, in decorative script like it was part of the wedding decor, the words, "Don't come close, you are so useless." I stopped walking. Actually stopped breathing for a moment. This couldn't be real. This had to be a mistake, some terrible joke, something that would be explained away. But as I stood there, frozen in shock and humiliation, I saw my mother walking toward me. She was wearing the expensive mother of the bride dress, the one I'd bought her when she complained she had nothing appropriate to wear. She looked beautiful and happy and not at all disturbed by the poster with my face on it. She reached me, and instead of explaining, instead of apologizing, instead of showing any shred of maternal concern, she leaned in close and whispered, "Please pretend you don't know me today. Jessica doesn't want any drama, and your presence is already upsetting her. Just stay in the back, don't talk to anyone important, and we'll get through this." My presence was upsetting her. The poster calling me useless was apparently fine, but my actual presence was the problem. I looked at my mother, this woman who'd raised me, who'd watched me sacrifice everything for this family, who'd stood by while Jessica treated me like garbage. And I saw no love there. No appreciation. Just annoyance that I might cause a scene. I hissed under my breath, a sound of pure disgust, and turned away. I walked back to my car, my hands shaking with rage so intense I thought I might actually combust. Inside my car, I sat there for a moment, staring at the venue, at the poster with my face on it, at guests starting to arrive and probably seeing that humiliating display. And I made my decision. I pulled out my phone and called the venue manager. "Hi, this is Vivian Chen. I'm the primary contract holder for the Morrison Wade wedding today. I need to cancel the event immediately." "I'm sorry, what? Cancel? The wedding is starting in 45 minutes. I'm aware. I'm exercising my right as the contract holder to cancel. I understand this means I forfeit my deposit and owe the cancellation fee as outlined in the contract. But I want this event shut down now. Ms. Chen, I need to verify this with you in person. This is highly unusual. I'm in the parking lot. I'll come to your office right now." I marched into the venue's administrative office, showed my ID, showed the contract with my signature, and confirmed my decision to cancel. The manager was flabbergasted, tried to talk me out of it, warned me about the financial penalties. I didn't care. Shut it down. Now. Remove the guests, stop the setup, cancel everything. The manager made some calls. Within 10 minutes, staff were informing guests that there was an emergency and the wedding was cancelled. The caterers were told to pack up. The musicians were dismissed. I watched from my car as chaos erupted. Guests in their formal attire looking confused and upset. My mother running around frantically trying to figure out what was happening. Jessica in her wedding dress, appearing at the entrance, her face a mask of horror. My phone started ringing immediately. Jessica. My mother. My father. Numbers I didn't recognize, probably wedding party members. I ignored all of them. Then I got a text from Jessica, "What did you do?" I responded with a photo I'd taken of the poster with my face on it. Just the photo, no words. Then I blocked her number. My mother texted, "Vivian, please, whatever you're upset about, we can fix this after the wedding. Don't ruin your sister's day." I responded, my presence was upsetting her anyway. Problem solved. Then blocked her too. I sat in that parking lot for another 20 minutes, watching the complete destruction of the event I'd funded. Watching Jessica cry and scream. Watching my parents try desperately to salvage something. watching Marcus's family look appalled and confused. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. Control. The satisfaction of finally standing up for myself after decades of being a doormat. Eventually, I drove away. Went back home, changed out of my expensive dress, and poured myself a very large glass of wine. My phone was blowing up with calls from extended family members, but I'd turned it on silent. The next day, I woke up to hundreds of messages. Some angry, calling me vindictive and cruel. Some confused, asking what had happened. A few, surprisingly, from family members I barely knew, saying they'd always thought Jessica treated me badly and they understood why I'd done what I did. Jessica managed to contact me through a friend's phone. You destroyed my wedding. You ruined my life. How could you do this to me? How could I? I was amazingly calm. Jessica, you put a poster of my face at your wedding entrance calling me useless. You seated me with strangers after I paid for your entire wedding. You've treated me like garbage for years while I've funded your life. How could you do all of that to me? That poster was a joke. It was just a joke. Jokes are funny. That was cruel. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done being your ATM. I'm done being disrespected. I'm done with all of it. You can't be serious. We're family. Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me. You want to know what's serious? I'm taking you to small claims court for the $70,000 you promised to pay back. I have the text messages where you said you'd repay me. I'll see you in court. I hung up. And this time I blocked every possible way she could contact me. My parents tried to intervene. My father actually showed up at my apartment a week later, demanding I apologize to Jessica and help pay for a new wedding. Help pay? Dad, I paid for the entire first wedding. The one where I was humiliated and excluded. I'm not giving this family another penny. You're being selfish and vindictive. What you did was unforgivable. What I did was stand up for myself after being treated like trash. And if you can't see how wrong Jessica's behavior was, how wrong yours and Mom's behavior has been for years, then we have nothing else to talk about. If you don't make this right, you're not welcome in this family anymore. I looked at my father and realized something profound. I didn't want to be welcome in this family anymore. Being part of this family had meant sacrificing my happiness, my money, my dignity. Being excluded from this family meant freedom. Then I guess I'm not part of this family. I can live with that. He left, slamming my door so hard my neighbor came out to check if I was okay. I was more than okay. I was liberated. If you've ever been the family member who gives everything and gets nothing but disrespect in return, if you've ever been treated as less important than the people you've sacrificed for, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to tell you about rebuilding my life after cutting off toxic family might give you the courage to do the same. The legal process took months. Jessica tried to argue that the $70,000 was a gift, not a loan. But I had text messages where she explicitly said, "I'll pay you back." My lawyer said it was a strong case. We settled out of court. Jessica didn't have $70,000, but she had assets. She sold the car I'd bought her years ago. Marcus's family, horrified by the whole situation, contributed some money to make it go away. Between various sources, I recovered $45,000 of the $70,000 I'd given her. Was it enough? No. But it was something. And more importantly, it was a clear boundary. I was no longer the person they could take from without consequences. Jessica did eventually have a wedding. A much smaller, quieter one 8 months later. I wasn't invited, which was fine by me. I heard through extended family that it was nice but nothing like the extravagant event she'd planned. I felt no guilt about that. My mother tried periodically to reconcile, always with the same message. I should be the bigger person, I should forgive, family is family. Never an apology. Never an acknowledgement that they'd done anything wrong. Just an expectation that I should come back and resume my role as family ATM and emotional support. I refused every attempt. I'd spent 32 years being the bigger person. I was done. Cutting off my family was the hardest and best decision I ever made. The first few months were lonely. Holidays were weird. I had moments of doubt where I wondered if I'd overreacted. But then I'd remember that poster. My face. Don't come close, you are so useless. I'd remember my mother telling me to pretend I didn't know her. I'd remember years of being taken for granted, used, and discarded. And I'd know I'd made the right choice. Without the constant drain of supporting my family, my finances recovered quickly. I bought my own place, a beautiful condo with a view. I started traveling, something I'd never done because I was always saving money for the next family emergency. I made new friends, built chosen family who actually valued me. 2 years after the cancelled wedding, I'm genuinely happy. I have peace. I have financial security. I have relationships based on mutual respect rather than obligation and exploitation. Do I miss having a family? Sometimes. But I don't miss that family. I don't miss being undervalued and disrespected. I don't miss sacrificing my well-being for people who saw me as a resource rather than a person. Jessica tried to reach out last month through social media. A long message about how she's been reflecting, how she realizes she took me for granted, how she wants to rebuild our relationship. Notably absent from this message, an actual apology. Instead, it was full of justifications about how she was stressed about the wedding, how she didn't realize how her actions affected me, how we should let the past be the past. I didn't respond. Because I've learned that people who are truly sorry don't make excuses. They don't minimize their actions. They don't ask you to forget what they did. And Jessica's message was full of excuses and minimization. Some people think I went too far. That canceling the wedding was cruel, that I should have just not attended, that I punished everyone for Jessica's actions. But here's what they don't understand, I didn't cancel that wedding on a whim. I canceled it after years of being used, after funding an event I was being excluded from, after being publicly humiliated with that poster. I canceled it because it was the only power I had left to show them that I wasn't going to be their doormat anymore. Was it dramatic? Yes. Was it effective? Absolutely. Because for the first time in my life, my family had to face consequences for how they treated me. They couldn't just take from me and give nothing back. They couldn't humiliate me and expect me to smile and take it. I took back my power that day. And I've never given it away again. The aftermath taught me valuable lessons. I learned that family is not an excuse for abuse. I learned that financial generosity doesn't buy love or respect. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who drain you. I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. Walking away from your entire family is terrifying. Society tells us family is everything, that blood is thicker than water, that we should forgive and maintain those relationships no matter what. But society is wrong. Some families are toxic. Some relationships are beyond repair. And sometimes the healthiest choice is to cut ties and build a new life. I'm not angry anymore. I was for a while, burning with rage at how I'd been treated. But anger is exhausting, and eventually it faded into something else. Acceptance. Peace. Understanding that I can't control how others treat me, but I can control whether I allow them continued access to hurt me. Would I do it again? Cancel the wedding, cut off my family, go through all the drama and pain and legal battles? Yes. Without hesitation. Because the alternative was continuing to be diminished, used, and disrespected for the rest of my life. I chose myself. Finally, after 32 years of choosing everyone else, I chose myself. And that choice saved my life. My name is Vivian. I walked away from my family after they humiliated me at a wedding I'd funded, and I've never been happier. You don't owe toxic people your presence, your money, or your peace just because you share DNA. You deserve better. Choose yourself.